Get your free copy of the complete tutorial at www.teachucomp.com/free.
You can only change the fill, color, and line attributes for the text box or placeholder objects. So to do that, make sure that the actual object is selected first. Then choose Format from the menu bar, and at the bottom of the drop-down menu it will either say Placeholder, Auto Shape, or Text Box, depending on what you have selected. Select that command to launch the Format dialog box. Now this dialog box shows all the available properties that we can modify. Here, in this lesson, we'll be looking at the Colors and Lines tab. If you'd like to change the fill color, which is the color used to fill in the box, you can select the Color drop-down at the top of the dialog box in the Fill section. You can then select the color you want to apply from the list of colors available. In 2003 and XP, you can also use the Transparency slider to set the level of transparency of the color that you desire, if you'd like to create a semi-transparent color. In 2097, this option was simply a checkbox called Semi-Transparent, which you could check or uncheck. To preview the effect before committing to it, click the Preview button in the lower right-hand corner. And that way you can see whether or not you want to keep the change. If you don't like it, you can either change it again, or click Cancel to close the dialog box without making the change permanent. You can actually just simply click the OK button if you'd like to apply the change. But notice that the Fill Color drop-down has more than a few color choices on it. It also has commands that you can use to create an even better looking background for your text than just a plain solid color. So let's look at what we can change as far as the background of our text boxes. It's very handy to know this, as we'll also be able to apply these color choices to rectangles, circles, squares, and almost any other type of object that can be filled with a color. It's also very handy when you learn that this feature is the same throughout the Microsoft Office applications. So how you change the color of a text box in PowerPoint is the same as the way that you change it in Word and Excel, and so forth. If you choose the No Fill option at the top, that makes the selected object transparent. You would use this and not white to achieve a see-through effect. Below that, we have Automatic, which is the default color for the selected object based on the current color scheme in play, which we'll discuss at a later time. Below that, we also have available choices in our color scheme, from which we can select. In the middle of the drop-down, we have the standard set of colors, from which we can also choose. However, sometimes you want to select a color that isn't in this set, a very particular color. In that case, you can simply choose the More Colors command to launch the Colors dialog box in yet another window. There are two tabs in this dialog box, Standard and Custom. If you click the Standard tab, you'll see a honeycomb of colors, as well as some shades of gray, black, and white down at the bottom. And you can select any of these colors to apply them. Over to the right, you can see the new color and the current color in the lower right-hand corner. You also have the Transparency slider at the bottom, which you can use. On the Custom tab at the top, if you click there, you can create almost any color imaginable. You simply slide the black arrow at the right side of the rainbow gradient to the desired hue that you want. Then click and drag your mouse pointer around in the rainbow gradient to move through the selected colors. You'll see the color choice that you're making in the New section in the lower right corner of the dialog box. Your current choice is the one below that. So when you're done selecting your custom color, click OK to return to the Colors and Lines tab of the Format dialog box, where you could then click OK to apply your choice. Also, if you need to use this color again in the future, note that in the future, it's going to be located in the section right below the standard colors. That way, you won't have to reset or choose again the exact same color. You can just pick it right off the drop-down, which makes it easier to use in the future. Now notice that another choice you could make from the Color drop-down in the Fill section of the Colors and Lines tab is the Fill Effects. If you choose this choice, you'll be presented with a Fill Effects dialog box. Now, fill effects are simply fancier background choices that allow more customization of the fill color for your selected object. And there are 4 types that you can apply: gradients, textures, patterns, and picture. If you click the Gradient tab, you can see that here we can set a gradient as our fill color for the selected object. So at the top of this tab in the Colors section, we can select either a 1 color, 2 color, or a preset gradient. If you select 1 color, then you'll have to select a color from the color drop-down that appears to the right. You then have to choose whether to mix it with black or white by sliding the dark and light slider right below that. If you select 2 colors, then you have to select which 2 colors to mix from the drop-downs that appear. If you choose Preset, then you must select one of the many preset gradients that come installed with PowerPoint. In 2003 in XP, you can also create a gradient transparency effect from one side of the gradient to the other by using the From and the To sliders. So it could be transparent from 0%, completely opaque, to 100%, completely transparent. And you'll see that after it's actually applied. Now, after selecting what type of gradient to create, you then have to select a shading style from the many listed in the lower left corner. So in this case, what direction should the gradient appear? For whatever shading style you select, you then have to choose a specific variant from the variants listed to the right. You'll see the choice you've selected in the sample in the lower right corner. If you didn't want to apply a gradient, you could instead apply a texture. If you click the Textures tab, you can select a texture to use as the fill color for the selected object. If you click the Pattern tab, you could select which 2 colors you want as the foreground and the background color first. Then select the pattern you want to use from the listing of patterns at the top of the tab. Once again, you should see your choice in the sample in the lower right-hand corner. On the Picture tab, you can click the Select Picture command, which brings up the Select Picture dialog box. Here you can use the Look In drop-down to select whichever folder you would like to look within for pictures, and then select the picture you'd like to use as the fill of the text box. Click Insert, and you'll see the picture that you can use as the background. That's all the fill effects, so after you've selected one of them, just click OK to return to the Colors and Lines tab of the Format dialog box. If we preview it, you can see how that would look. Now note there is another command from the Fill drop-down that we could choose, and that is Background. That simply makes the selected object the same color as the slide background. Same thing almost as choosing No Fill, except it really uses the color from the background. Once again, after making any changes, you can click OK to apply them, or Cancel to cancel your changes. Also notice that once you've taken care of the fill color, you next have the line section. And in the line section, you can apply a border, basically, to the selected text box. So under the line section, you can use the color drop-down to select from the available colors. After choosing a color, you can then choose a style for the border. You can dash it if you would like by clicking the dash drop-down, which might be useful if you were making something like a coupon cutout. And then a weight or a thickness, which we can use the spinner up and down arrows to increase or decrease. Once again, once you've made any changes to the fill color or the line color, you can click Preview to see how it would appear. And when it looks the way that you'd like, you could just click OK. Note that if you would like to remove the line, use the drop-down for Color and just choose No Line at the top, much like the No Fill choice for the fill color.
Like what you see? Pick up your free copy of the complete tutorial at www.teachucomp.com/free.